Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network. Casey Porter here. Wow, what a way to end the weekend. What a way to end a 7-game losing streak yesterday and get back on the high side and take a 5.5 game lead over the Padres and really just kind of put a thorn in the side of the Giants. That may be the last hurrah for them. The Dodgers don't play the Giants again until mid-September. I believe that's a 4-game set in mid-September. So it would be very tough. The Dodgers would really have to hit like a long losing streak. The Giants would have to hit a long winning streak, of which the way the Giants play offense, I don't think they're capable of super long winning streaks. And the way the Dodgers are going to get their pitching back with Blake Snell possibly, and then you already have Tyler Glass now. We see Shohei Ohtani is quickly ramping up. He had an extended outing yesterday. And so things are really looking up. The Dodgers are only going to get better from here. And plus, I think we all have to agree that we have already a great crowd logged in. Velvet Mike, thank you so much for joining tonight. Hopefully we have another great crowd on TikTok. Hopefully we have a great crowd on YouTube. Again, we're going to do these every Sunday night that we have a chance. Austin has his on Mondays, YouTube only. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, hopefully we will hit the 9 o'clock hour Pacific with these live shows. So 6 games back now for the Giants. It would be tough for them the way they play offense to win that many games in a row. At the same time, the Dodgers are losing. So the Padres now back in second place. And you have to know, of which this is why I'm smiling so much, you have to know Jorge Cabrera on the YouTube or on the TikTok side. Thank you so much for joining. Vin, Jeff Roll, and CNAV already on the YouTube side. We have a great crowd logging in. Thank you so much for joining. So it'll be very difficult for them. So the Dodgers, okay, they win 5-2 in extra innings, and I can't tell you how unbelievable it is that after you get the pinch hit home run in the bottom of the 9th inning, after you get that, and then after you don't score, you're the Dodgers in the top of the 10th inning, somehow you find a way to win. Jack Dreyer was, well, I'll tell you the way that you found the win. Give the Dodgers all the credit in the world, but the Giants' offense just flat stinks. I mean, Patrick Bailey, I guess he's a good defensive catcher, fine, but he is just a terrible offensive player. And to be honest with you, the guys that are name brand for the Giants, it feels like they went shopping for name brand and not necessarily, they just wanted name brand guys to create excitement, not necessarily guys that are awesome. You know, like Willy Adames, I've said for many years now, I don't want him. I don't like the way he swings up the ball. I don't like his swing and miss. I think the Brewers are better right now without him, personally. So I'm glad the Giants got him. I know lots of Dodgers fans wanted him. And heck, he may just go off for the rest of the season. I don't think he will. But the way he swings up the ball and the way that pitchers are throwing that high-riding four-seam, 96 WRC plus. That's one of your dudes. 4% below average, Willy Adames this year. 26.3 K percentage. That's the biggest reason why I never wanted Willy Adames, because I don't want that strikeout machine in the middle of your lineup from a guy who's expected to be one of your dudes. So it's one thing to have a 26.3 K percentage, but your walk percentage is only 11%, and he's hitting 223. So there's nothing to like about Willy Adames and his offense this year. Rafael Devers has been a fantastic offensive player his entire career. I mean, he's been nothing but fantastic. He has been not good since he came to the Giants. 1 for his last 14. James Outman made a great play on him today, or he could have been. If he was 2 for 14, the Dodgers lose today. But he wasn't. How about James Outman? So a great crowd on TikTok. Adames has been on fire. Fine short stretches. And he hasn't been on fire the last 2 games, but he has been a terrible offensive. Well, he's been 8% below average, so for what he's supposed to be, he's been a terrible offensive player. And he hasn't been a great offensive player. He's hit home runs, but for my money, he has not been a great offensive player, even in the past. I think that's a name brand type of deal. I'm not real high on him. So that's just me. But I know there are a lot of people disagree with that. So Rafael Devers, 1 for his last 14. He has not been good. Actually, 1 for his last 14. He's hitting 202 since he's come over to the Giants. And Matt Chapman has averaged a 27.18 K percentage and just a 114 WRC plus in the last 5 years. So you're talking about a guy that's bumping almost 30% K rate with a 14% above league average WRC plus, which, hey, that's 14% above league average. But when that's your dude and he's striking out at almost 30%, that's going to create a lot of periods to where your offense isn't very good if that's your guy you're relying on. Heliot Ramos has been fantastic up until recently. He had a really good year last year. He started out this year really good, but he's hitting 198 in the last 30 games. And Wilmer Flores was good 2 years ago, but had a terrible year last year and is very average this year with a WRC plus of 102. So just watching the Giants more and more, I just think they're more name brand names than they are actual substance. I think we saw that this weekend. They're capable of exploding for a one-game type of deal, get hot like a Willy Adames for a short stretch, and then absolutely nothing like we saw the last 2 games. So the Dodgers, you got to give the Dodgers pitching credit. The Dodgers won this series because Shohei Ohtani took the ball and he did what the Dodgers paid Shohei Ohtani to do, and that is to shove for however long he can, for however long the Dodgers say he can have the ball, against the Giants. So what won this series was the fact that he turned this, because Roop is good, man. The one thing that is legit about the Giants, Roop and Robbie Ray and Logan Webb, that legit. I'm not taking anything, although I think Logan Webb maybe has had better results lately than maybe the type of just unbelievably awesome pitcher he is. We'll see. I don't know. But I will give them credit. Robbie Ray, Logan Webb, and Landon Roop, 3 great pitchers. Their bullpen, fantastic. Their pitching's legit. I have a lot of questions about the Giants' offense, as well as in this carnation of what the Dodgers have to offer. You have to have a lot of questions about the Dodgers' offense, too. Hey, it was great to win these last 2 games, no doubt. And we are not going to be negative just about anything tonight because we're taking a 2-game streak into the All-Star break, a break that's coming at a perfect time for the Dodgers. Let Freddie get some rest. Let him get healthy. Let Mookie get some rest. Let him just think about things and just kind of have a reset, if you will. So it's a great time. Plus, that gives Tyler Glass now an extra week to get healthy. Blake Trinan, that gives him an extra a week to get healthy. By the way, I interviewed Blake Trinan today. Talked to Blake for, I'm going to say between the interview and we talked for about 5 minutes after the interview about his time at South Dakota State and this and that. I'm going to say I talked to Blake Trinan for probably 15 minutes today. He's coming back. I saw him in person the other night. He looked really good. Now, he was saying he wasn't real pleased with the results because he felt like he was pulling his fastball and pulling a sweeper. So he wasn't necessarily overly pleased with his results, but he's on his way back. And so that's going to give him an extra week. It's going to give Shohei Ohtani an extra week to ramp up, Blake Snell an extra week. So this All-Star break is coming at the perfect time for the Heat. But what about the last month I think that's probably for the year. Yeah. So, hey, we have a great crowd on TikTok. Let me go ahead and log in and say, let me know if you have any questions on the TikTok side, and we will absolutely cover it about either team or about the weekend or any of the prospect action. Wonderful crowd we already have logged in. I say it all the time. The MV3 at the top is awesome. Freddie hasn't been awesome, though. Mookie hasn't been awesome. Shohei's been the unicorn, no doubt. But the MV3 have been the MV1 in the last however long it's been. So the Dodgers to win games like this, you know who they're winning these games with? Jack Dreyer, who after the Dodgers had given up the game-tying pinch hit home run to send it into extra innings, of which, by the way, Tanner Scott, he gave up 2 blown saves over the road trip. That's not good at all. But I do have to give it up to Tanner Scott for recovering and getting those last 2 outs. Because if Tanner Scott blows up there and doesn't get the last 2 outs, then the Giants win in regulation in 9 innings. And that's not good right there. So we have a great crowd on TikTok, a great crowd on YouTube. Get on your phones, get on social media. Tell everybody that Dodgers Dogs is live, and let's get a big crowd. So Jack Dreyer comes in the 10th inning after the Dodgers can't score the placed runner. And so all the Giants have to do is score the runner from second base. And Patrick Bailey, who is just a terrible offensive player, can't even get a bunt down, can't move the runner. Next thing you know, the Giants can't score. And then I told my wife, we were watching my beautiful bride of soon to be 26 years on August 1st. I turned to her and I said, as soon as the Giants did not score in the 10th inning, I turned to her and I said, the Dodgers are getting ready to score 4 runs. I kid you not. She is my witness. I was wrong. They scored 3 runs. And to be honest with you, it was kind of lucky. That hit by Freddie Freeman, that had a lot of luck to it. But I'll say this, baseball gods tend to even out. The Dodgers have had a lot of bad luck lately too. And so that good luck, never apologize for being on the right side of the baseball gods, because I promise you, there's plenty of other times the Dodgers have smoked a ball right at somebody with a chance to score runs, and it was just right at a defender. And so I never apologize for having luck. And by the way, you tend to make your own luck, and if you put the ball in play, then you tend to make your own luck. So Jack Dreyer, give him a world of credit for shutting down the Giants after they had all the momentum in the world. James Outman still doesn't look good at the plate. Not going to say that, but you have got to give the young man credit. He went and made a game-saving catch. Now, I'm going to say this point blank. I have seen James Outman play, oh my God, I don't know how many games in the outfield, probably 500 games in the outfield. I've seen him probably play 100 with my own eyes. I'm going to say this point blank. I know a lot of people were freaking out about how great of a catch that was. That was pretty routine for the way he plays center field. That's how good he is as a defender in center field. I couldn't believe that people were making such a huge deal out of it, because it was like, yeah, James Outman's going to go catch that ball. That's no doubt in my mind. Andy Pages made a great play. So Jack Dreyer, James Outman, Ben Kasparius did his job. Yesterday, you had Michael Conforto have a big day. Tommy Edman had a ground out to score the first run yesterday, which was a manufactured run after a couple of good singles. Andy Pages had a good day yesterday. So you're talking about Miguel Rojas, who hit a home run. Okay? So try on this for size. If you're a Giants fan, you're watching, you want to complain about the MV3 or whatever, all the billions of dollars that the Dodgers spent, this is what got you beat. Jack Dreyer, James Outman, Ben Kasparius, Michael Conforto, Ha-Seong Kim, Andy Pages, Tommy Edman, Miguel Rojas. That's who got you beat. And obviously the pitching was great. I'm not going to take it away from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He was fantastic. He really was. But still at the same time, the Giants hit the home run in the 9th inning off of, well, also Alex Bessia, off of Tanner Scott, but their offense just, I would have a hard time watching that team every day. They would frustrate me to no end because they just can't hit. They have a bunch of guys that just simply don't know how to hit. Now, they can hit home runs. They can get hot from here and there, but they're just not good hitters at all. So as a pitcher, if you execute, their hitters are out. Maybe Rafael Devers, if he gets hot, he has the ability. Heliot Ramos, if he gets back to being hot, maybe he has the ability to be actually a good hitter and not just an explosive hitter. But beyond that, count me out on that. So the Dodgers were very opportunistic. They did not get a scoring chance until the 4th inning, and they took advantage of that to take a 1-0 lead on 2 walks and a double by Freddie. That was a nice rip down the right field line. But I'll say this. It still didn't look like Freddie was healthy to me. It still looked like he was not into his legs like he normally is. It still looked like maybe he was favoring his ankle. I don't have any inside information. I have a tinfoil hat on right now. The double was sweet. The hit to put the Dodgers in the lead in the 11th inning was even sweeter. But I still say that Freddie Freeman does not look like the Freddie Freeman that we've come accustomed to. So I hope that he can get healthy over the All-Star break, and I really hope that the Dodgers give him some time off in the second half, especially if the Dodgers continue to have a lead in the NL West right now at 5.5 games. We'll see how the Padres play coming out of the second half. Again, you don't play the Giants again until mid-September. So hopefully the Dodgers can build onto this lead as their pitching gets more healthy, as their offense starts turning things around, where you can give guys like Freddie Freeman some days off, as long as Will Smith, and you can use Dalton Rushing to keep Freddie Freeman and Will Smith healthy and fresh, right? So I've said this for a couple of years now. I just don't understand the negativity towards Miguel Rojas. Keep in mind, he's a great defender. He is great in the clubhouse. The clubhouse thing is whatever. The Dodgers have 15,000 great clubhouse guys. Matter of fact, I saw Blake Trinan 2 times this weekend working with young pitchers. I saw him working in catch play like 3 hours before the game started. Blake Trinan was working with Julian Fernandez the other day, and today he is working with Jack Little. And the impressive thing about Blake Trinan today is that he pitched last night. So today was a day game after a night game. I got home at almost midnight last night from covering the Oklahoma City game, a game in which Blake Trinan pitched in, and he was up at 10:30 in the morning working with the young pitchers in catch play in left field. That's how impressive Blake Trinan is. So you got to give it up to Jack Dreyer. But let me get back to my Miguel Rojas thought. So Miguel Rojas, he hits the home run. He's hitting .254, OPS 712. What more can you ask for from a bench guy? From a guy that's going to come in and just be depth, be a guy that can be a defensive replacement, and then whenever you put him in there, just be okay. You don't have to have, if you're relying on Miguel Rojas to be anything more than okay, then you have a lot worse problems than him. So 254 on the year, OPS 712, 333 in his last 15 games. Last year, Miguel Rojas hit 283, and his WRC plus was 110. So Miguel Rojas was 10% above league average last year. He hit 283. This year, he's hitting 254, and he's hitting 333 in his last 15 games. I don't understand the negativity towards him. He is the perfect player for the role that he has on this team. There is nobody better in the game of baseball that the Dodgers could go get for his role that would be better than Miguel Rojas has been in that role. Tanner Scott, you got to worry about him. I said on the last show, I think you're good with pitching. I still feel that way. I think Blake Trinan's going to come back. I think he can get your last 3 outs. I think Tanner Scott will clean things up. I think Kirby Yates will clean things up. Alex Vesia has been elite. Jack Dreyer has his ERA under 2. Ben Kasparius was good today. And then also, I think as guys get healthy, Dustin May is going to move to the pen. And then also, Justin Robleski's throwing very well. So there's another guy that can either start, which gives you more bullpen arms, or he can be a relief guy. And then also, here's the big deal. If you want to go get a closer right now, my question for you is going to be, who would it be? What closer do you want to get, and what's the price tag behind it? So I know you're going to say, like, let's go get Emmanuel Clase or whatever it may be. So who is a closer that's going to have a better track record at this moment than Tanner Scott? Now, I know he's blown, 6 saves this year? I'm not going to defend that. I'm not going to defend the 2 blown saves on the road trip. But name me somebody who has a better track record as a closer that you can realistically go get right now at the trade deadline. That's my question for you. If you think Tanner Scott's not it, I get your frustration, but I'm all about solutions. I had a steadfast rule: do not come to me with a complaint unless you also have a solution. So if we're complaining about Tanner Scott, then what is the solution? That's my question for you. I have no problems with you being frustrated with him, but again, I want you to bring me solutions. Who would it be? So Daniel Berry Sports Highlights says, fire Scott, and then who? What's the alternative? The firing part of it's easy. It's like whenever you have a coach and you fire them, I always say, well, that's the easy part, just to say, hey, let's go fire the coach. The hard part's actually to go find somebody else that's actually better. It can get worse. Trust me on that. And then also, we saw yesterday Tanner Scott nailed that on 1-run game. He can turn back into be elite. I mean, he hung a slider today. He hung one pitch, and that one pitch turned things around. Again, I'm not going to excuse any of that, but that is what it is. So what a great crowd we have logged in on YouTube. Yeah, we have thoughts on Brewer from Brunt on the TikTok side. Thanks for joining. Let me type this in so we can continue to build a good crowd on the TikTok side. And what my thoughts on the Brewers, I think they're fantastic. I think they have good pitching. I think they have an offense that is, as I think, here's what I'm going to say, and I'm limited on my knowledge, of the other teams. Obviously, I don't know the other teams near as well as I know the Dodgers because I spend so much time covering the prospects and the LA Dodgers. From what I've seen in the Brewers, is if Andrew Vaughn is the Andrew Vaughn the Dodgers saw, or anything close to that, that's a legitimate offense to go with very good pitching. That is a scary team. Very scary team. I would not want to face the Brewers in the playoffs. They have the pitching to really be tough on the Dodgers, and they have a type of offense that could force the Dodgers to have to keep up inning by inning, and that could be very difficult on the Dodgers. So great crowd on YouTube. Let's get into some of the comments on YouTube. Jeff Roll, no more Tanner Scott in the ninth. It should be Vesia. There, see, that's what I'm talking about. This is why the Dodgers Dawgs, as part of the Dodgers Daily Network, is the best baseball chat on earth. I will never back down from that. It's not the biggest, but it is the best. Jeff Roll, this is elite A-plus stuff. My point is, Jeff Roll's not just bitching and moaning about Tanner Scott, of which he has a right to, because Tanner Scott blew 2 saves over the road trip. He's actually bringing a solution to the table here. So, hey, let's move Tanner Scott down to the 7th inning or whatever the rule. Let's just flip Alex Vesia and Tanner Scott. That's what Jeff Roll's saying. So Jeff Roll's solution right now is let's flip Alex Vesia. Let's let him get the last 3 outs as a stopgap until we get Blake Trinan. Jeff Roll, standing ovation. That's absolutely elite right there. Hey, Vin 1988, the best handle on earth. Thank you so much for joining. We got players coming back. We absolutely do. Deuce says, nice bounce back after the Scott implosion. It absolutely was. And why did the Dodgers get that bounce back? Tanner Scott was part of it. Remember, he still had to get 2 outs after that. I wouldn't call it an implosion. I would say he made one bad pitch. Okay? If he would have actually imploded, then the Giants would have won in 9 innings because he would have allowed a run after that home run. But what he actually did is he hung one pitch, a slider. It got hit for a home run, tied the game, and then he put his big boy pants on. He got the last 2 outs, and then Jack Dreyer really saved the Dodgers bacon in the 10th inning. Ben Kasparius did a great job as well. And then the Dodgers, Freddie Freeman, to be honest with you, kind of got lucky. So, yes, great bounce back, Deuce. Hey, Jason Soretti, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Great to see you too, Jason. Been a minute since you've been on the live show. Hey, Jason, it's always great to have you in the chat because you bring so much to this. Maybe Scott just sees lefties. The problem with that is, Vin, is that you have the 3-hitter rule. So how many teams are going to have 3 lefties in a row? And even if they do, they're going to pinch hit, which we saw today. And you can't take them out until after that 3rd hitter. So they used to call it the loogie, the left-handed 1-inning guy, or the one hitter guy, the loogie, the left-handed loogie. You can't have that anymore. They changed the rules on that. So it was a great win, no doubt, Ben. Even though we lost game 1 of the battle came back, carried over to game 2 and 3. And hey, you created some momentum in game 1 by playing good offense. Jeff Roll, great win, but Yamamoto deserved the win. He was great today. Jeff, that's another elite comment. I wish, a reliever can come in and throw 1 pitch and get the win, but a starter can go 7 innings and not give up a run at all and not get the win. Why? I mean, seriously, though, I know I'm a baseball purist, but that doesn't mean that I think everything makes sense in baseball. Why can't you have common sense, human element judgment, and let Yoshinobu Yamamoto get the win on the mound? I get it, he wasn't in the game whenever the Dodgers actually did win the game, but you tell me who deserves the win for that game? Now, I'm probably being goofy here because once you open that up to human element, human judgment, you would have some really stupid decisions made there. But having said that, the moral to that story is, Jeff Roll, you're 100% correct. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the, with a capital THE, reason the Dodgers won the game tonight. There's no questioning that. Deuce, Too much swing and miss to be a consistent hitter. I'm not exactly sure who he's talking about. Hey, Mike, Mike, who is he actually gets credentialed to the LA Dodgers. He has the handle of Doom. Sal is in the house tonight. Mike says Yamamoto didn't get the win. That's because Tanner Scott blew that for him. Jeff Earl, great play by Outman to save the game. Nice to have Outman have a good game if Outman could only just get the offense going. But I'm telling you, that's a fairly routine play. I will be surprised. Like, he'll be like me whenever he gets back in and people are like, wow, what a catch. I'll be like, okay. I mean, that's just kind of what James Outman does. Hey, Jeff Roll says Edman looks good at third base. You can put Tommy Edman anywhere on a baseball field. So what I tell kids a lot is, hey, you know what? Especially when they're young, you're not a shortstop. You're not a left fielder. You're not a right fielder. What you are is you're a baseball player. So Tommy Edman, yes, he won the Gold Glove at second base. But he's not a second baseman. Well, he could be a Gold Glove second baseman if the Dodgers put him there. He's not a shortstop. He's not a center fielder. But yet he is a second baseman. But yet he is a shortstop. But yet he is a center fielder. But yet he is a third baseman. Because you know what Tommy Edman is? Tommy Edman is a baseball player. That's why the Dodgers coveted him, and that's why he is so valuable to this team. Deuce, Bailey is out of a job when automated strike zone becomes a thing because he stinks as a hitter. He is just a terrible hitter, and to have that black hole at the bottom of your lineup is so difficult. Yeah, but I'll say this, automated strike zones are never coming, Deuce. It's going to be a challenge system, and in the major leagues, each team's going to get 2 challenges. And if you are right on your challenge, you get to keep it. But if you're wrong, you only get to be wrong twice. So I don't think, well, I'm pretty sure. I would bet on it in the longest near future you could think of. It will never be fully automated. They did that in AAA. It sucked. The players hated it. The umpires hated it. The broadcasters hated it. The fans hated it. The automated, fully blown ABS system was terrible. So it's going to be the challenge system. So maybe a guy like that with the challenge system, knowing that there still will be some pitch framing metrics that will matter. Maybe a guy like that can still be valuable, but we will see. Hey, the Trios, thank you so much for joining on the YouTube side. Get back to LA and rest some more. Hey, tough series after the break with the Brewers, no doubt. That's another reason why these last 2 victories were huge, because you come out of the chute, you're going to face all the pitching that we know the Brewers have, and it's going to be right back out of the break. So it does not get any easier. Vin, one thing that gets overlooked is we faced really tough pitchers the last 10 games. And by the way, really hot teams. So, well, I mean, the Giants weren't overly hot, but the Astros were hot when we saw them. The Brewers were hot. And the Giants, were jazzed. So very difficult stretch, 100%. Question anyone from Vin, can Dustin May help us in the bullpen? Give us your thoughts about Dustin May in the bullpen. What do you think about that? Jeff Roll, you are correct. Jack Dreyer was fantastic in the bullpen. Good luck can happen when you put the ball in play. Deuce, another example of why Dodgers Dawgs is such a great community. That is absolutely correct. You tend to make your own luck when you put the ball in play. Something that happened to Freddie Freeman. No doubt about that. So, BC, thank you so much for joining. Miguel Rojas is a higher OPS than Mookie, and you'd never bat him second. Yep, there you go. I just think Miguel Rojas, is he like an MVP-type player? No. But for the role that he's asked to perform for the Dodgers, there's nobody more perfect than him. He just does a great job for what he's asked to do. Ben 1988 says Freddie should get some games off. I agree. If you put Dalton at first base, remember Dalton Rushing played exclusively first base his first 3 years of college. Dalton Rushing did not catch until his 4th year. I don't know if it was his 4th year. Let's say his last year, because he was behind Henry Davis, and Henry Davis was the first pick in the 2021 draft. And so Dalton Rushing did not catch until 2022, his last year at Louisville. He played first base. And when I interviewed Dalton Rushing, he said first base is actually the easiest one to transition to. So instead of putting Will at first base, the easiest transition there is to put Dalton Rushing at first base. That gets Freddie days off, and then you can catch Dalton Rushing too, then that gives Will days off. That's how I would handle that situation with Dalton Rushing. You get both Will Smith and Freddie Freeman some days off. Deuce, Emmett Sheehan is being slept on. The guy's an absolute dog. And by the way, as good as Shohei Ohtani's fastball was yesterday, and I'm going to get to it here, Shohei Ohtani averaged, 97 on his fastball? He actually averaged 98 on his fastball, 98.2. Emmett Sheehan's fastball metrically was a better pitch in terms of metrics. When you look at movement, when you look at velo, and you look at spin, Emmett Sheehan's fastball was better than Shohei Ohtani's, and Shohei Ohtani's fastball was awesome. That tells you all you need to know about Emmett Sheehan and how explosive he is. He has just potential through the roof. No doubt about that. Emmett Sheehan, and he was really, really good. Hey, Great White Raider, thank you so much for joining. Question about Bobby Miller. We're going to get to Bobby Miller's performance today on our Down the Farm segment. Our Down the Farm is going to be strictly Oklahoma City. We're going to cover last night and today's action. I've got all sorts of live video I took, and there was a lot of good pitching and well, I wouldn't say a lot of good pitching, but the Oklahoma City Comets lost the last 4 games of this series with the Houston AAA team, the Space Cowboys from Sugar Land. So there wasn't a whole lot of great of anything, but that's where I'm the most well-versed at this moment because I have all that video, and I want to share that with you. So we will talk about the Bobby Miller outing here and the Down the Farm segment. Do you think he's a write-off? Absolutely not. Bobby Miller's not a write-off whatsoever. I mean, everybody's timetable is different. I know fans are very impatient. They want a guy like that that's been so highly rated to hurry up and be what they thought he was going to be right off the bat. This is an example of why you cannot digest the top 30 prospects thing. Everybody's different, okay? Diego Cartaya never could quite deal with that type of pressure, right? And so just because he hasn't lived up to the hype yet doesn't mean it won't click. He won't work through all of it. It doesn't mean he won't work through all of his mental issues of getting too fired up or getting too mad at himself or whatever. It doesn't mean he won't find the right pitch mix, and it doesn't mean he won't figure it out. So absolutely not. Bobby Miller is in not any way, shape, or form a write-off at all. And I personally don't want to see him out of the pen because a lot of times his worst inning is his first inning. And so I think being out of the pen, he'll sit down there, he'll stew about it, he'll think about it, he'll look at the game. It won't be his game. I think from a mental perspective, I don't think that's a very good match for him. Now, if he just at some point, if the Dodgers think the starting thing's not working out, then they'll make a decision on that. But we have not gotten to that point yet. And today's outing, if you watch it, it was fantastic. All the way up until he made a couple of bats, just like Matt Sowers yesterday. We're going to get into Matt Sowers' outing in our Down the Farm too. It was really good for the longest time. And then he had the one inning where he gave up the home run, a couple of base hits, and 4 runs, like we see Bobby Miller do. Good, not good. And the not good can't be like 1 or 2 runs. It always seems like it's 4, 5, 6 runs. That's the problem there. So I would say not a write-off whatsoever. Hey, Wolf Mask Jack, thank you so much for joining. How long can the Giants sustain that play style, hang around with the pitching and defense and try to win one on 2 big swings? I agree. Their offense, to me, I couldn't watch it. I hate it. I mean, I'm not I hate the 3 true outcomes. I love the winning baseball plays approach. I don't see anything that the Giants do. Like what is their plan? What is the Giants' offensive identity? I watched them for 6 games in the last, 2 or 3 weeks. I couldn't tell you what their identity is. Their plan is go get some name brand guys and hope they gather some hits and they win games for you. That's not a plan, though. The Dodgers, although they have great players, they still have a plan as far as metrically what they want guys' OPSs to be, strikeout percentages, walk percentages. The Dodgers have a identity. They walk. They hit home runs. And to be honest with you, in the last 2 or 3 years, they strike out a lot less than you think they do. So what is the identity of the Giants? What is their plan? What is their goal when they play offense? It just seems to me like their goal is, hey, let's hope we have a guy on base to when we get it back to Willy Adames, who is not a good hitter, or Matt Chapman, who has been not nearly as good a hitter as people think he has been in the last 5 years, or a Elliot Ramos, who is not hot right now, or any of those guys. Rafael Devers, who hasn't been good. I will say this, Rafael Devers is legit. So I agree with you there. Maybe I'm being too hard on them. I just can't see what their identity is. Their offense is hard for me to watch. Jason Soretti, do you know much about the 2 Arkansas players drafted tonight? I do not. I have not even looked at the draft. Jason, I've been in Oklahoma City all day. I got home, grilled out some hamburgers for the beautiful bride of 26 years, and we went to the store to get everything for dinner. We came home. We walked our 2 beautiful pit bulls, and then I put these show notes together, and then boom, I'm on the air, and I have not even looked at the draft at all. I haven't even had time to dive into the Josue DePaula home run yesterday and being the MVP of the Futures game. I have been that busy. Hey, Stogie, what is the best beer for a baseball game? Whatever like Oklahoma City has the Comet beer. I'm going to go with whatever is in-house. Let me go ahead and type that so we can get some interaction on the TikTok side. Angel Almanza, thank you so much for joining. Whatever is the house beer. That would be I have washed my hands of alcohol. I do not drink beer whatsoever. David Rodriguez on the TikTok side says, Dustin to the pin. Thank you so much for joining, David. I really appreciate it. Hey, JRM, thank you so much for joining on the YouTube side. Is there even trade value for Bobby right now? Absolutely. A guy with his type of arsenal, I promise you there's trade value. Now, are you going to go get the closer that you want to replace Tanner Scott? No. But especially if you package him with a couple of other guys, there 100% is trade value for him. And CNAS says, I don't think so. We're better off letting him work through it. I'll promise you there's trade value to Bobby Miller. Those types of guys, fans get way too obsessed with results. They get way too obsessed with guys not working out. It's in the timeline that they want, in the fans' timeline. But I'm going to tell you again, I've heard this from a million different professionals. Everybody's timeline's different. And then also, he might get in another organization. Another organization will think, well, if we get him in our organization and he gets consistent major league innings and he knows he's the guy, he's able to relax, he's able to a little bit be himself a little bit more because he's not pressing to find major league time, you'll find the best version of Bobby Miller. So I definitely think there's trade value. I think the Dodgers will trade him for the right price, obviously. We'll see what that happens. It'll be interesting. I think anything and everything's on the table. Having said that, I don't think the Dodgers really need to be all that aggressive at the trade deadline. I'm going to stick with it. I think they need to figure out third base. That's just kind of where I'm at there because we'll see what happens with Michael Conforto. And I think if you figure out third base, that gives you options in left field. Hey, JRM, mango carts are decent at Dodger Stadium. That is the beer of choice for mango carts. Vin 1988, a few teams are a trade away from really giving us a run. Yeah, the margins, that's why I always talk about the margins. They're so slim in the major leagues, even with a roster like the Dodgers. Wolf Mask Jack. Cubs might want to take a shot at Bobby Miller with their pitching system. I would agree with that. Vin 1988, but I believe the biggest opponent is ourselves. That's a great point. Hey, Great White Raider, thank you so much for that wonderful comment about the show. I really appreciate all your great work. CNAV also says that Vesia needs to close for the time being until Tanner Scott gets back and healthy. That is a great comment as well. Hey, JRM says the walk ratio for Dustin May is quite concerning for bullpen. That's my point. So why do you want to take a guy that's not throwing strikes and put him in the 8th inning to where if he doesn't throw strikes in the 8th inning and he gives up 3 runs, you only have 1 at bat left to make up for it? At least in a start scenario with a Bobby Miller or a Dustin May, if they have a blow-up inning, it's like in the 2nd or 3rd inning and you have 7 at bats left to come back from it from. So that's kind of where I always get confused why people want to take pitchers that don't throw strikes and put them in the bullpen. That's never made sense to me. But hey, Vin 1988, I don't like the ghost. I'll push back on that. The placed runner, I love it. I've seen too many games go way too long where you just couldn't figure out where the next run's going to come from, especially in college. I wish college had the placed rule because I can tell you I've seen so many OSU games, especially in the spring. where it's 70 degrees to start the game. By the time the ninth inning's over, it's 38 degrees. And then you're going to play another. OSU played Texas 18 innings, and it was, you wouldn't start a game if it was 21 degrees outside, but you're not going to stop a game because the temperature's dropping. By the 13th inning, it was 35 degrees. By the 16th inning, it was 25 degrees, and nobody can figure out a way to score. The placed runner would have figured that out. I love the fact that the placed runner ends these games. It creates excitement. It creates decision-making. It's not a traditional type thing. I consider myself a baseball purist. I consider myself a traditionalist. I personally love the placed runner. I love the challenge system. I love the replay system. I love the double bag system that they have going in college. They have the green bag to the right to where the runner has to declare which one they're going to step on. That way the defensive player knows which bag he needs to go to. So I think there are some things. I love the pitch clock. So I think there's some things they've done that aren't traditional that I do like. So I'll push back a little bit on that, Ben. Those are just my thoughts. So hey, give your thoughts on the placed runner. What do you think? Ben, 1988, we are just about 6 games up now. Two full series. Michael Tidd, they have to do something about Tanner Scott. He's not terrible, but he has definitely given up he's given up too many saves this year. I will not defend him on that. Hey, I'm worried about Mookie. It's not a short slump. Ryan Hart's been all year. Been talking about this all year. You know what I think. Obviously, the weight loss at the beginning of the year, age, he has the upward plane type of swing, which goes downhill very fast. We saw that with Chris Taylor, where I think you'll see that with Willie Adames. Guys that have a swing up type of approach, it's great while they're in their prime because they hit a lot of home runs. They hit a lot of doubles. They have a lot of balls in the air. But when you get a little bit older and your eye-hand coordination is not quite as good and you're having to intersect the ball and your timing's having to be perfect and your eye-hand coordination isn't as good, then you see guys go downhill real fast. So I think it's a combination of fatigue from playing shortstop and the beginning, probably overall fatigue from the weight loss at the beginning of the year, the fact that he is getting older and he swings up the ball, and that tends to be a very quick decline for guys that do that. So I would like to see him flatten his hands and start thinking line drive, hard ground balls. And I know Mookie Betts has made the statement, don't hit ground balls. I think he needs to change that philosophy. I think he needs to hit line drives and hard ground balls. But that's just me. I'm just a guy behind a mic. What do I know, right? So great crowd we have logging in. JRM, Brewers are definitely a scrappy bunch. I totally agree with you there. Ben, 1988, maybe give Dustin a shot at the closer. He can elevate his velo. Can you imagine in a closing role, Dustin May going out there and ripping sliders 17 feet outside and making uncompetitive pitches? Dodgers fans would be it would be must-see TV. There's no doubt about that. So, as we go down to the bottom of our YouTube chat, Mookie is a pop-up machine. That's what I'm talking about. He's a swing-up guy. Swing-up guys, they get older, it just doesn't work. It goes downhill. And he's trying to pull sliders. That's because he has that swing up, and that kind of goes around the ball, and that's kind of the way it looks. You would think more teams would push so the placed runner, if you're the visitor, the statistics will tell you if you bunt the guy to third and score 1 run, you actually lose more than you win. They have enough data to know if you play for the 1 run of the visitors, you're going to lose more than you win. That's why they don't do that. That's actually a analytical thing there. And JRM, I don't have any word on Bruzdar. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. Yeah, you're right, C-Nav, and I've heard this comparison a bunch of different times of Dustin May to Darren Dreifort. Wicked moving stuff, can't control it, injury prone, similar body types, all the same type of stuff. So, hey, maybe put the placed runner at first base instead of second. That's a good idea, but what they're trying to do is they're trying to get runs scored. They want runs scored because runs scored is what ends games. The goal for a placed runner, the goal of why they changed this is to get games over. They don't want games going 18 innings. So by moving a runner further away from home plate, you're actually defeating the purpose of what the placed runner is in there for, and that is actually to end games faster. And I think that's happened. Let's get back into some of my notes that I have. Incredible bounce back. How about Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Try this on for size. He faced 26 batters today. 19 of the 26 batters, he threw a first pitch strike. So, we come up with all these analytics. We come up with all these great ways of let me actually leave a comment. If you're on TikTok right now, leave a question or a thought, and I will get to it if you have one. If you have, let me type this in, a question. TikTok, we have another wonderful crowd on TikTok. We have a great crowd on YouTube. How fun is this? When does Roki come back? That is from 40 Ounce Jan on the TikTok side. A long time. He's still just barely playing catch. I don't think he's going to be a factor this year. I've said this. Vin 1988 says put the runner on third. I don't have a problem with that, but I think that would be a little too easy to score. We saw both the Dodgers. I think second base is the sweet spot because what you saw today is you saw neither team score in the 10th because he was on second. And then you saw one team score multiple runs in the 11th, which meant the other team, that the runner at second base, the placed runner at second base, was irrelevant. So the way to make the placed runner irrelevant is to score more than one run. Because if you score more than one run and you go into the home half of that last inning, like the Dodgers did today, when the Dodgers went into the bottom of the 11th inning, what did that runner at second base matter? What did he matter? And then also as the visitors, that runner doesn't matter either, in a sense that just scoring him doesn't give you any better odds of winning. So I think, I love the place runner. I personally think they have him at the right base. And today is an example of it doing what it's supposed to do and ending games. I don't want to see an 18-inning game. That's just me personally. So Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 26 hitters, 19 first pitch strikes. 8 times of those first pitch strikes, 8 times it came from a pitch that was not his four-seam fastball. Now that is out of this world, 100% elite, ridiculous strike throwing efficiency from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So can you imagine facing Yoshinobu Yamamoto with that curveball, the cutter he throws every now and then, the splitter, down 0-1 in the count? I mean, being down 0-1 in the count is like a remarkably terrible thing overall for Major League hitters. Imagine that with the wicked stuff against Yamamoto, because really the only chance you have against him is that he throws ball one, you get in a hitter's count, and you ambush some type of get-me-over curveball or some type of get-me-over four-seam, something like that. That's your chance against Yamamoto. But when he's throwing 19 first-pitch strikes and 8 of them are with something other than his four-seam fastball, you ain't hitting them. I don't care how bad the Giants' offense sucks. Nobody would have hit him today. Now, another team might have scored a run or two. They might have been more competitive than the Giants were. But no human being was going to have success against that today. And so his four-seam was in the zone 63% of the time. Splitter in the zone almost half the time. And although his fastball got hit a little bit, none of his secondaries did. You know why none of his secondaries got hit today? Because he threw strike one. And I'm going to say it again. We can have all these modern analytics, and I use them. The best pitch in baseball so many times is strike one. And when you throw strike one with first pitch with your fastball, it's typically going to be, so if you concentrate on throwing strike one like Yoshinobu Yamamoto did today, it's mainly going to be with your fastballs. And so other teams are going to try to jump on that and ambush that. So your fastball typically is going to give up in those scenarios. Whenever you're throwing a lot of strike ones, your fastball almost always is going to get hit the hardest, but it's also going to get the quickest outs, which creates efficiency. So there's even on the pitch that you're getting hit the hardest, you're having a good balance because you're also creating efficiency with that pitch. Emmett Sheehan, how about this for a fastball? His fastball sat 97, spin, touched 2,600. Over 2,600, 2,603. And by the way, with those metrics, Emmett Sheehan threw a fast strike with his fastball 63% of the time. It was in the zone 63% of the time. That's on top of Shohei Ohtani, who averaged 98.2 and had a 5-pitch mix. Shohei Ohtani sat almost 100 miles an hour and had a 5-pitch mix. Emmett Sheehan had a 3-pitch mix, but he did a great job of throwing strikes with his fastball. And so those two are the reason why this thing turned around. If you lose yesterday's game, today's going to be tough. You still might win it, but we'll see. It would have been a lot tougher. So, hey, KTodd86, thank you so much for joining on the TikTok side. Wrong, strike three. Yeah, strike three is superior, no doubt. But I'll tell you this, KTodd86, throwing strike one on your first pitch gets you to strike three a hell of a lot more than not throwing strike one on the first pitch does. That is not even close. So I think those two go hand in hand. Hey, JRM, Sheehan's fastball seems to explode out of his hand. So what you're seeing are the RPMs. That's why I always mention the RPMs. The more RPMs a guy has, the more explosive it looks because it doesn't decelerate. So the more RPMs you have, the less it decelerates. So to the hitter, it keeps its speed longer. That's why it looks like it explodes. That's why I like Brusdar Graterol, especially when you have extension. He throws 100 miles an hour, but it's not overly intimidating because he doesn't have extension, very good extension. So the ball's having to travel another foot or two than like an Emmett Sheehan or Tyler Glasnow. And that last foot or two, the ball really decelerates. So yeah, it may come out of his hand at 100, but it's decelerating so much by the time it gets to home plate because his extension's not good. To the hitter, it looks like 92, 93 by the time they're hitting it. Whereas Emmett Sheehan's starts out at 98 miles an hour, and because he has good extension and it has such great spin, it's still 97, 96, 97 by the time it gets in on the hitter, and so that's why it looks so explosive. Jeff Roll says the game was also on the MLB Network as far as the Futures game with that Josue DePaula was the MVP of. CNAB, I was pissed that the game was on Roku. Yeah, we're talking about the same thing there. Hey, facing Yamamoto says Wolf Mask Jack would not be fun. I totally agree. D may pitch better throwing more fastballs. Yeah, keep it simple. I mean, you got to be able to do something. Don't try to be a jack of all trades until you're at least a master of one. That's kind of the way I look at that. I really like the runner on second because it brings speed into it. I love speed, says Ben 1988. Good point about Brusdar's fastball, says JRM. Hey, we also have a great crowd of 80 people on YouTube. Hit that like button. Leave a regular comment in the video section. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Tell all your friends about Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, we're going to go live as much as we can this summer. The TikTok site is exploding. I can't tell. I mean, 4,390 likes on the TikTok side. Come on now. YouTube side, we have 32 likes. Come on, we need more than that. Get your buddies in here and get more like. The way that this video gets seen is that the more likes you have, the more interaction we have, the more the YouTube thinks that this is liked by the viewers, and then it suggests it more. It gets seen more. Once it gets seen more, then that's just then the station grows more, and we can do bigger and better things. So, Deuce, Bessie's fastball is only 92, 93, but tough to hit. Up in the zone, again, that's the spin rate. It's also the angle that he throws with, and it's also the carry that he gets on it. So that spin rate creates carry, and it gives it that illusion like it's rising, and that's what Alex Vesia has, and that's why it's so good. And then also, he's left-handed, so it's coming at the hitters from different angles. It's got unique properties to it. So you either need to be like Tyler Glasnow, where you're so just ridiculously long and explosive, or you need to be unique like Alex Vesia is. Hey, Wolf Mask Jack, that's hard to say 5 times in a row. Thank you so much for the super chat, $2. Is Diaz fixable? How's he doing when we need bullpen arms? I don't want to get negative, but I think Alexis Diaz is a ways off. I don't think he's close. I think Oklahoma City has a lot of different arms that are better right now than he is. And so I would say Alexis Diaz, in my opinion, who am I? I'm just some dude behind a microphone. I would say he's a non-factor this year. If you had to hold me up to it and ask me one way or the other and say, hey, you can't ride the fence, If he is fixable, I don't think it's this year. I don't think the Dodgers have time to fix him this year. Having said that, maybe he goes out and dominates the next 5 or 6 times out and proves that what a lot of people have told me in my life, and that is I'm a dumbass. Right? Maybe that happens, and let's hope it does, because Alexis Diaz, we know the best version of Alexis Diaz is one of the best closers in all of baseball. 40-ounce Jan, thank you so much for joining. Stogie, thank you so much for joining. Can we move Mookie back to the outfield and Kim and Edmund in the infield? I would suggest Mookie at second base. I'm not a fan of him in the outfield. He's not as fast as he used to be, and I am all for the less grueling position for him to play. I am RHJXI from the TikTok side. Let go of Scott and Bonda. I think the Dodgers are going to have to make a decision on Bonda. Jack Dreyer squarely is better than he is. Alex Vesey is better than he is. Justin Robleski is better than he is. All left-handers. Okay? But Tanner Scott, let's not forget he was elite last year. He's blown some saves. That can change in a hurry. Again, not going to defend the guy, but I am going to say the track record would suggest I like the suggestion from Jeff Roll earlier, maybe put him in less high leverage situations to where it's not the 9th inning and you don't have time to recover if he gives up a run or two. But I definitely don't give up on him at this point. Hey, Tark the Shark says, Casey, you are definitely not a dumbass. I appreciate you saying that. That's very kind of you. I'm glad you said that, because now I feel quite a bit better about that, because I can't tell you how many times in my life I've been called that in my day, and probably in good setting. So when you coach and you umpire as much and officiate as much as I've done, you get called all sorts of names, and you end up really just kind of laughing it off as things go on. Al Minerva, thank you so much for joining. Completely turn your back to hitters like Nomo used to. We have one of those, Jose Rodriguez in AAA. We're going to show him today. Vin1988, thank you so much for the super chat. Great crowd tonight. Yes, hey, 39 likes on the YouTube side. Let's get that up. I want that around 100 likes. Let's go. Let's get those likes up to around 100. On the TikTok side, we have 180 viewers. We have 4,390 likes. YouTubers are lagging. Let's go. Let's get on it. Let's match the TikTok side. We also have a great crowd on the Instagram side. Emilio Flores Jr. I say we move Teoscar to left, Edmund in center, Pajes in right. I have been preaching that all year long. Standing ovation, Emilio Flores Jr. That's on the Instagram side. We also have a great crowd on our Facebook side. Dan Beecham has joined. Johan Duran. The problem with Scott was the batter was in swing mode. He didn't have to even throw a strike. Scott gets to where he can't throw a strike and then throws it down the middle. So it's one or the other, Dan is saying. Dan used to be, I believe, a GM of a professional team, so this guy knows what he's talking about. Dan Beecham. Thank you so much for joining on the Facebook side, Dan. Vesey was incredible. He is our best bullpen guy right now. Totally agree. So that's Dan Beecham on the Facebook side. We have X working. We have a great crowd logged in on Instagram, a great crowd on TikTok, and just a wonderful crowd on YouTube. Vin1988. He comes through when we need it. Hot take, but I will still take Tanner. Shouldn't go back-to-back days, but we are down bad for arms. That's a good take there, Bob Tanner. I think that's a pretty good perspective there. So another reason why this All-Star break will be really good. Great crowd again on TikTok as we approach the 1 hour mark of our show. JRM, does Doc keep the same lineup out of the gates for the second half? Doc will change it every single day. Craig Osterberg, thank you so much for joining. Definitely 2 big hits for Freddie today. And Jeff Roll says, I'd like to at least see Tanner Scott show some emotion. I think what you're seeing is he's just uncomfortable. He just doesn't look like, he just doesn't really know what to do at this point. So I think really that's what you're seeing more than anything. And so we'll see how that goes from there. But that's all of my thoughts on the Dodgers at this point. What I want to do now is I want to turn it over to our Down on the Farm segment. and get talking about some of the videos I've taken in the last couple of days. And who you're seeing right here is Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller today actually was really good. It's kind of like we were talking. It was like the Matt Sauer outing last night. Bobby Miller was really good until he wasn't. So let's take a look here at some of the Bobby Miller video here. 4.1 innings today for Bobby Miller. 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Really wasn't a bad outing because it was really good until the 5th, I should say. It was very good. And keep in mind, here's another thing about Bobby Miller that you guys are not, anybody that's being critical of Bobby Miller, I'm not saying that you're not right or anything, because he needs to get better. But you're also not putting this into the equation. He just came off the IL a couple of weeks ago, and he's still just now getting ramped up. And when he gave up his runs today, it was in the 5th inning, and he was already almost to his pitch count. So he was tiring down. So put the IL stint into this equation, put the pitch count into the equation, because, again, I'm not making excuses for him, but that does matter. So he's pulled today at 81 pitches, 4-seam. He was very 4-seam dominant. It sat 97 miles an hour. Threw a slider the second most, and then he exactly threw the same amount of changeups and curveballs. He only threw 3 sinkers. I think that's a mistake. I personally think he should be throwing the most amount of sinkers. I'm on record with that. But he's basically ditched his sinker, so we'll see how that works out for them. So the slider had a 50% whiff rate, but it was also the pitch that got hit some today. 4-seam had an average exit velo of just 88. So again, all in all, not a terrible outing considering the IL stint, considering that he's coming back off of that, considering he was great through 4 innings. If you get him out after 4, which is all he'd probably be asked right now to do in a bullpen setting. And by the way, I interviewed Bobby Miller. I'm going to release that this week. I asked him if he'd be okay with a bullpen role. So you're going to have to wait and see what he said to that question for when I release that interview. Probably Tuesday is what I'm looking at there. Another guy I want to show you that has been pitching just absolutely awesome, and I've said this a couple of times now, if Ronan Kopp keeps pitching like he has been pitching lately, watch out. I mean, this guy seriously could make a run to be a player in the bullpen. This guy is pitching really, really well, and he is super, super explosive. I mean, you tell me, watch all this deception and just realize this is a guy that's hit 100 miles an hour before. Watch this motion. You talk about ass and elbows coming out of a long, long frame. Look at that. I mean, you get you some of that right there. So here's a good look at Ronan Kopp from very close up. I mean, I was almost directly behind home plate. That's a nice slider there to go with a very explosive fastball. Matter of fact, his fastball touched 97.7 today. And he was throwing kind of a bridge pitch. So he has a slider that'll be about 85, 86 that you saw. Then he had that pitch right there. That pitch right there, that cutter, that one there too. That's about 91 miles an hour, 90, 91. So he had the fastball. Then he had the cut, that one right there too. That's a cutter right there. That's about 90, 91. He had a bridge pitch in that cutter, and then he had the bigger one there in the slider. So he had a fastball, he had a smaller slider, and a bigger slider. Call it a cutter, call it whatever you want, but you saw it right there with your own eyes. So Ronan Kopp looked, I'll be honest with you, today wasn't one of his best outings. His first inning was absolutely awesome. Second inning, he got into some trouble, got himself out of it, but before Ronan Kopp's been absolutely dominant coming in to today. So keep your eye on Ronan Kopp. And then today I got this video of Edgardo Henriquez. Hey, thank you so much for joining all of you on the TikTok side. We have 209 people on the TikTok side. Thank you so much for joining. Ronan Kopp gives you a Mad Bum vibes. Yes, looks just like Madison Bumgarner, no doubt about that. Kopp reaches back like Bumgarner, 100%. He absolutely does. Bobby Miller says CNAB has to cut and sink everything. I totally agree. Throw the sinker. Miller reminds me of Scott, throws hard and straight. That's why, Vin, I think he needs to throw the sinker. I think Trinan will be the closer, and Scott can be a fireman, lefty, superstar killer. This conversation's incredible, guys. Absolutely incredible. Wolf Mask, Jack, Vin, CNAV, Craig, Jeff, all you guys. I mean, Bob Tan, JRM, you name it, BC, Tark the Shark, Al Minerva. I mean, this is ridiculously Deuce. This is elite conversation. I am having so much fun reading these comments. It's just absolutely awesome. You guys are the absolute best. Again, I'm going to say it again. Not the biggest crowd, although today's a nice crowd. Absolutely 1,000% the best baseball talk you will ever find. So Edgardo Henriquez didn't have his best outing today. Wasn't super efficient. I don't even know I haven't even looked at his box score. I didn't care. He gave up that double there. He left that pitch up in the zone. Guy tattooed it very well. That pretty straight pitch there up in the zone. But Edgardo Henriquez is another guy. He hasn't been pitching great. His ERA is above 5. I don't think he's necessarily imminent. I don't think he's pitching well enough right now to say, hey, he is the next guy up. I would say Julian Fernandez. I'm going to show you video of the guy that I think is, if it was up to me, the guy that would be next up for me would be this guy right here, Julian Fernandez. This is a guy that's been getting at the AAA now. He did not have a good outing with LA when they brought him up. I understand all that. But he has been absolutely awesome at the AAA level. His fastball's touching 100 miles an hour. And, hey, I interviewed Scott Hennessy. I'm going to release our interview with Scott Hennessy this week, the manager of the AAA Comets. And he mentioned that Julian Fernandez was only hitting like 90, 92 in the spring training. He's all the way up to touching 100 now. If it was up to me and you had to ask me who would be the next guy the Dodgers should bring up for a relief arm, it would be this guy, Julian Fernandez. And to be honest with you, there would be no hesitation for me on that front. So the next guy I want to show you, as far as the video clips that I got in AAA Oklahoma City, is one Mr. and this is a guy that I also interviewed just today. Awesome young man with an incredible story, is Matt Sauer. Matt Sauer right here. You talk about a worker, man. This is a guy that got drafted a long time ago, 2017, I think. Got injured in 2019. 2020 got canceled. 2021, 22, and 23 never made it past AA. He got taken in the Rule 5 draft. Made his major league debut in 2024. Then he got sent. Actually, he got taken in the Rule 5 draft before the 2024 season, and then he was with the Royals on the 26th. He made his major league debut with them. Got sent back to the Yankees. Then got DFA'd. The Dodgers picked him up, and now he's here with the Dodgers. Got his first professional win. But Matt Sauer yesterday made 2 bad pitches to a big old boy from Sugar Land. Other than that, he was absolutely fantastic. So Matt Sauer is a guy that I think will play a factor for the Dodgers in some way, shape, or form. Now, is he going to be a playoff starter? Is he going to be a guy that is somebody that is 1, 2, 3, or 4 in your rotation? No, but Matt Sauer is a great guy to have on call if you need to bring up an arm and have a game that you can get through. We've seen that now. We did see the blow-up game for him where he ate all the innings and gave up, I think, like 10 runs or something like that. But this guy, I have a mad amount of respect for him. I hope you watch the interview that I did with him because I thoroughly enjoyed it. He's such a wonderful young man, and he has a great story. Another guy I wanted to show you that I'm very high on, another guy that I interviewed over this week that I'm going to release our interview this week. This is Zach Penrod, another guy with an incredible story. He went NAIA out of he actually grew up in the Boise area, went NAIA to Western Oregon. Didn't like it there because it rained every day. Came back home to Nampa, which is basically a suburb of Boise. It's a Nazarene school. I'll put it to you that way. And so he finished there, signed as an undrafted free agent as a pro, ended up getting cut, had to play indie ball for 3 years, got an offer from the Boston Red Sox, took it, eventually made the major leagues, as incredible as that is, and then got DFA'd. And in the DFA process, the Dodgers picked him up in a trade for cash. And I really, really, really like Zach Penrod. I've seen him probably 5 times from this angle right here, and he is really good. I think he's a lefty that could play a part. I think he's a guy that could have a factor. So we have a question: is Jackson Ferris still a year away? Let's get to some video on him. Jackson Ferris has not had a good year from a statistical perspective, but his last outing was really good. So Jackson Ferris, he's the guy that can turn it around any moment. Adding a kick change to go with his sweeping slider, his fastball that's 94, 95, 96, and the big breaker like that. So Jackson Ferris, is he still 1 year away? I don't see any possible way that he's going to make the major leagues this year. I think next year he'll be in AAA Oklahoma City, and it's going to be entirely up to him. I have no idea how that's going to go. We'll see, but I know that the Pacific Coast League is very tough. I kept trying to tell people that, first of all, Justin Robleski was further along with Maddox Bruns. Nobody wanted to believe me because they were slaves to the top 30 prospect list. I kept trying to tell people that Justin Robleski was closer than Jackson Ferris. Nobody wanted to believe me because they're slaves to top 30 prospect list. Fine, whatsoever. And then the problem with top 30 prospects list is when a guy like Bobby Miller does struggle, fans don't want to give him time because, he was our number 1 prospect on top prospect 30 prospect list, so he should be awesome just immediately. Then they want to give up on him when he's not, instead of giving him the proper room to develop under his timeline. And because of some arbitrary list that some guy that's trying to make money off of you, the fan, of which they do a good job of, because they read some arbitrary list from some guys that maybe have seen them in person 3 or 4 times ever. So that's I went on a rant there, but that's just where I'm at on that. But one of the big reasons why I don't do those lists, but that is what it is. Another guy I wanted to cover that I really like, this guy right here, Big Papa, Justin Dean. We saw him in spring training. Pete Rose type hustle, my man. I'm telling you, this dude is balls to the wall at all times. And he's starting to hit the ball. I interviewed him about a month ago. He mentioned the top end. He needs, the barrel contact. It needs to be stronger. I think he's accomplished that. And he's hitting it right around 300. He's in the leadoff spot today. He made a hell of a catch last night for Matt Sauer, no doubt about that. He can play great defense. He's fast. He brings a lot of energy. I really like Justin Dean. I think he is a good player. So we'll see what happens there. But I wanted to show you, revisit Justin Dean. I know you remember him from spring training. I wanted to cover him again because I really like where he is at the moment. So those are the guys that I wanted to cover. Nope. I got one more that I want to cover. How can I forget this one? Again, I had a chance to interview Blake Trinan today. We talked all about his pitch mix, where it's at. We talked about the ramp-up period. And so to get all the answers to those questions, you'll have to wait. Now, it's audio only. He didn't want to do video, which is totally fine. So it's audio only, but I asked all those questions. Hey, the ramp-up, where's your pitch mix at? He also talks at extent about last year's World Series and what it was like for the role that he was given. He talks about Dave Roberts. It was an honor for me to get to talk to him. So I'm going to release that tomorrow. Don't miss it. I hope you watch that. Yes, please hit that like button, says CNAV. Totally agree with you on that one. So Blake Trinan, successful outing last night. From a statistical perspective, from a metrical perspective, it was good. He was not happy with it. He didn't like the fact that he pulled his slider. He didn't like that. See there, he pulled another sweeper. You can see him talking to himself. Let me back that up. You can watch him talk to himself right here. See this? He's pissed. He did not like the way that was going. Pulled it right there. He's talking to himself. He didn't like the way that he was pulling his pitches. There's another pull right there. That's for a strike. But everything was going to the glove side. So he was not happy with it. But I'll say this. I sat from this angle right here. This was me taking this video. And he looked pretty good. Now, efficient as he wants to be? No. But I think he's a perfectionist. I think he's close. So we'll see how that goes. You'll know how close he's pulling the ball there. You'll know how close Blake Trinan is when they finally give him a back-to-back. That's when you'll know the Dodgers are thinking about pulling him up. We see that all the time. So that is it for my Down on the Farm. That's pretty much all I have for you for my thoughts tonight. I cannot thank the YouTube crowd. We've got it on for an hour and 15 minutes. 261 in the TikTok side, 4,390 likes. What a great crowd we had there. We had consistently over 70 to 80 in the lobby on the YouTube side. Fantastic crowd. This has been a tremendous amount of fun. So until next time, I'm going to leave it there. I'm not sure if Austin Brubaker is going to go live tomorrow night. I might go live this week. I might not. We'll see. If my beautiful bride of 26 years and I have anything to do whatsoever together, that will take precedent over everything Dodgers Daily oriented this week, because this is All-Star Week, and we'll see. So just turn your notifications on. When we go live, you'll be ready for it. But I will say this. I think I have 8 interviews armed. Blake Trinan, Zach Penrod, Matt Sauer, the Scott Hennessy, the AAA manager of Oklahoma City, Nick Senzel, another guy who has major league experience that's been playing some third base, Bobby Miller. I have Chris Oakey. I have all sorts of interviews that I'm going to release this week. That's going to be most of my content. Please, when you hit that notification, I always like it when fans watch the interviews, because I just love getting to know these players. So definitely tune in to all those interviews. Be looking for them throughout the week. So everybody have a great evening. As you know, you're appreciated more than you'll ever know by me, Coach Holt, Austin, Mark Watkins, who, by the way, was at Rancho 2 nights in a row. That was super fun. I hope you got to enjoy his content on Blake Snell and Coach Barikoff. You're appreciated more than you'll ever know. And as always, a reminder, the Dodgers beat the Giants the last 2 days, and that's great. But even if they didn't, it's always a great day to be a Dodger.